There it goes. Okay, great. Okay, well, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the January Wellness webinar. This is Laura Maloof Miller. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. Everybody's muted upon entry. And then at the end of the webinar, there's a short anonymous survey, so your feedback is greatly appreciated. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, go ahead and just use the chat function and chat to Kristen. Everybody who registered for this webinar, whether you were able to attend or not, will receive a link to the recording in just a few days. And special shout out if it's new this year, if you are new from joining us here on our webinar for the first time, well, special welcome to you. All right, so we are going to start the new year with clarity and calm. So today, our presentation, the title is From Burnout to Balance, the 2026 Energy Reset. Now, I know many of us, we pushed through exhaustion. We're working long hours and we ignore the signs of burnout. So sometimes we tell ourselves, you know what, I will recharge during the holidays or when I take vacation. So time off does offer us sort of a temporary relief, but it doesn't address the daily energy depletion that we experience. So when we return, those same old habits and those stressors are back again, ready to quickly drain us of our energy. So true recharging happens through small, consistent practices, not just those occasional breaks. The information provided in this presentation is intended solely for the general information of the audience. It's not medical advice and shall not replace consultation with your physician or other qualified health provider. If you have any health-related questions or problems, please seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider. So this is what I am going to cover in the webinar today, how burnout is impacting our workforce and why it matters. We're going to look at the signs, the key signs and early indicators to watch for recognizing burnout. I'm going to give you some practical ways that we can reset our energy by focusing on energy management, not time management. And then I have some simple tools and some habits to help us sustain our energy with clear, actionable steps that will help you to feel more focused, energized, and balanced, both at work, and of course, outside of our work time. At the end, I also have some additional resources for you as well. Job burnout is a type of stress that is linked to our work environment. This includes being worn out physically, emotionally. It may involve feelings of like useless, powerless, feeling empty, and whatever the cause, it definitely can affect your physical and your mental health. Now, this statistic up here on the slide is from the consultants at Census Wide, and it says that 66% of American employees experienced some sort of burnout in 2025. Worth noting is that the younger generations are facing significantly higher rates of burnout. So you see there's the 81% on 18 to 20-year-olds and 83% 25 to 35-year-olds are reporting burnout compared to just 49% in the age 55 and older. I am in that category, 55 and older. And I remember, my first jobs, 18 to 24 years old, even second and third jobs when in my 30s, I did not experience burnout. This is kind of when you're new in your career, you're engaged, you should be happy and functioning well. But you can see on the slide here the reasons that people are feeling this way. And maybe this is you. Maybe you have faced these kinds of scenarios in your work environment. Now, one of my previous jobs, I did have a coworker. She had a sign in her cube that said, "Gone crazy, be back in 5 minutes." And it was a picture of this cat with its hair shooting all in all directions. Of course, it was funny, but it's really sad too that this is so often very true. So, using the chat, tell Kristen and I what on average, what is your average daily energy level? One, of course, is low energy. 10 is high energy. I'm high on caffeine and I'm ready to take on the world. Your responses are going to be private. They're just coming to Kristen and myself. And then, Kristen, if you could read out some of the responses. Of course, you are not required to do this, but if you wanted to share just sort of an average, tell me, how energized do you feel on a daily basis on average?
Hi, Laura. Yeah, it's quite a mix. I'm seeing like six, eight, fives, another six, seven, 6 to 7, six. I'm seeing a few threes. Average is eight-ish. Might be nine when they start but by midday it might be around five. Um,
Okay,
5, 7. Yeah,
great.
lots in the higher range. I am getting a few lower numbers as
All
well, though.
right. Well, thank you so much for sharing that information. I don't know about you, but same thing with me. I start out the day, I've got a lot of great energy. I am a morning type of person, so I wake up and I'm ready to take on the world, but around 3, 3:30, oh, I have a major energy dip. And so that's when I, try to get up, go take a walk. Sometimes I need to eat a little something, a little snack, have something to drink to get my energy back up. So thanks for sharing that. So burnout, it really isn't considered a medical condition, but some experts do believe that it overlaps or that it contributes to other issues such as depression, which would of course make sense. But burnout and depression are not the same thing, and they do require different approaches to treatment. Now, your likelihood of experiencing burnout can be influenced by, guess what? Your personality, your past work experiences, and how you respond to stress. This is why, two people facing the same similar job challenges can have very different reactions. One may feel completely stressed and burned out while the other one doesn't. Um, Now, job burnout can come from different factors. If you don't have like control over your work, unclear expectations, maybe there's conflict with coworkers or supervisors, like we saw on the other screen, too little work or too much work, limited support, and if you're having a really hard time balancing both, your work life and your home life. So these issues, of course, can increase your stress and drain your energy, making, burnout more likely. The folks who are more at risk, makes sense if you've got a really heavy workload, if you end up working long hours, if you have a really highly demanding helping professions, if you're in that role. Also, if you feel like you really just don't have any or really little control over your work. How do we know if we're experiencing burnout? So I pulled this resource from Psychology Today, and it's a little quiz, short series of questions to help determine if you are experiencing signs of burnout. So here are some examples of the types of questions that you will see in this quiz. It's really aimed at assessing if you have feelings of dread, Are you cynical or skeptical about your work? Maybe you feel like, why am I working on this project? This isn't even going to make a difference. It's also going to ask questions about what is your outlook? Do you see the glass half full, half empty? Do you try to make the best of the situation or not? Also, questions about work life integration. Maybe you're not doing such a good job at balancing the work and also your personal life. And it's going to ask questions about, are you just going through the motions? That you show up, but you're not invested in the work that you do. I will include the link to this questionnaire when we send out the recording if you would like to take the quiz yourself. Also, so when we're burned out, you of course are going to feel drained. You may feel like you really just don't have the right coping mechanisms or that you just can't cope. So this, of course, is going to affect your sleep. You may not be able to sleep. Or if you're like my husband, his work day flows into his dreaming at night. So he'll wake up in the morning and, oh, I had a dream about my project or a meeting or I was late. Or so his sort of work life is crossing over into his sleep. And so truly, it feels like he never gets a break from work. So you may also be experiencing a variety of emotions. Maybe you're sad or angry or irritable, or you've given up. You just don't care anymore. And all of this could, of course, lead to maybe some unhealthy coping mechanisms. Maybe you're reaching for the sodas or the alcohol, other substances. Maybe you're craving and eating that junk food. We know that when we're really stressed, healthy food is not something that we crave. We want the fat and the sugar, the high calorie foods. All those sort of unhealthy coping mechanisms could put you at higher risk for things like heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes type 2. We know that all this stress can also affect our immune system, which just means that you might actually be getting sick more often. Well, where can we go for help with burnout? And maybe that's a trusted friend or a family member. Sometimes just sharing what you're feeling can help reduce that sense of isolation. And, getting some feedback from other folks can give you a different perspective. Maybe it's your manager or an HR partner that you should go to. Maybe they can help with your workload, some time off, or some accommodations. At HealthNet, we have this term called courageous conversations. And that is an opportunity for us as employees to reach out to our people leader to really have an open, honest conversation on topics that often are not really that easy to discuss. Sometimes a mentor or a coach can help. They can help you think through some of the setting boundaries, identifying what your priorities are, and some next steps. Again, my husband's been at his job for a little over a year, and they do offer a mentor program. So he signed up for that, and so he meets monthly with an executive. So this is someone other than his manager, and that provides him with feedback and sort of guides him and gives advice. So if you have that opportunity, maybe something you would want to look into as well. I'm going to go ahead and read this scenario. Maria is a respected project director at a large tech company who also cares for her aging parents. So she's working 11 to 13-hour days, constantly exhausted and struggling to be present with her family. And she isn't sleeping well. She's no longer exercising, often skips meals, or relies on quick snacks to get through the day. And despite her success, she feels overwhelmed and depleted. Unfortunately, this situation is extremely common. And really, challenging in today's workplace, especially in high pressure industries. This is a tough situation. Maria has dual responsibilities. She's trying to balance her leadership role also with the caregiving responsibilities, which of course is creating a constant time and energy strain. She's working long hours, 11 to 13 hours. That, of course, leaves little room for her to recover, which puts her in sort of a chronic fatigue position. And she's, of course, neglected her self care. She's skipping meals. She's no longer exercising, and her poor sleep. This, of course, is affecting her physical and her mental well being. And then, of course, there's the emotions. Unable to be present with her family, she's probably feeling a lot of guilt and stress on top of the exhaustion. And so, why? Why is this so common today? And that's because millions of us as professionals are juggling our careers and caring for aging parents or children or both. And then we have this always on work culture, whether you're in the office, remote, hybrid, especially remote and hybrid. That often blurs those boundaries, increasing our work hours. You know, you can check emails during the time when we used to get ready for work and during our commute. We can check emails during lunch and also, after work hours. Not to mention that many of us are still reachable while we're on vacation. So we really don't get that opportunity to unplug. There's also performance pressure. We feel like we need to be successful. And to do that, we need to work longer and harder and faster. And that success often comes at a cost of our personal well being. Sometimes our organizations, actually, many of them, many workplaces, lack adequate resources for energy management and caregiving support. Okay, so what can we do about this? I know you're probably saying, Laura, what is the good news? Well, there is good news. And to be perfectly honest, when I was researching for this presentation, I, of course, have heard of time management, but I had not heard of energy management. So let's take a look at what energy management is. Two of our most valuable resources as employees is our time and our energy. And of course, there's a lot of focus on time management to boost our productivity. You stay on top of your workload. You take a look at your emails first in the morning, you organize your meetings, those kinds of things. But it's really easy to overlook the fact that if you're already running on empty, it doesn't really matter how well you manage your schedule. You're still not going to be able to perform at your best. So, of course, as we know, without enough energy, even though most carefully planned day can feel overwhelming. So, energy, this is the fuel that powers us through the day. It's directly tied to our productivity. And so, when our energy is high, you can focus, you can work efficiently, and you can complete the tasks without making mistakes, or at least fewer mistakes. By keeping our energy levels up, you accomplish much more and you produce better results in less time. We can't add more hours to our day, but we can make sure that we don't waste the hours that we have. So, really, mastering our energy management. This is all about recognizing your unique energy rhythms. Yours are going to be different than mine, and molding your workday around them. Okay, I know you see a black box on your screen. That is the video I'm just about to show, but I want to tell you what we're going to watch is a quick little video from Tony Schwartz. He's the founder and CEO of the Energy Project. That is a consulting firm. It helps both individuals and organizations optimize their energy for sustainable high performance. He happens to be the co-author of the best-selling book, The Power of Full Engagement, and also the author of The Way We're Working Isn't Working. So Tony is recognized as a thought leader on managing different types of energy, physical, emotional, and mental energy to improve our productivity, our engagement, and well-being in the workforce, in the workplace. So he believes the challenge is not to get better at managing your time, which is finite, but rather about managing your energy, which you can increase and also renew. And the fact is that if we're not intentionally finding ways in our workday to increase and renew our energy, then of course we're simply depleting ourselves. We're not getting stronger, we're getting weaker. So let's take a quick listen to what Tony has to say.
For the past 200 years, free market capitalism has been defined by a singular ethic: more, bigger, faster is better. That's fine in a world of infinite resources, but demand in our lives is increasingly outweighing our capacity, isn't it? Think about this. How many of you would say that as you look back over the last 3 years, the demand in your life has significantly increased? And how many of you would say, even though it's increased, and most of you agree it has, that over the next several years it will go still higher? And so that leads us to the $64,000 question, which is this. If demand is already increased dramatically, and if it's only going to get still higher, how many of you believe that your capacity to meet that demand will rise right along with the demand? That's the problem that we face. The problem is that more, bigger, faster generates value that is narrow, shallow, and short-term. We find ourselves today in an energy crisis. We know about the energy crisis that relates to the resources of the planet, but we ourselves have an energy crisis. This one is personal. We are at a moment, at an inflection point, where we know that the way we're working isn't working. We need a new way of working. We need a new paradigm for a new age. We need to learn to manage our energy rather than our time. You know, it used to be, until recently even, that if you needed to get more done, what did you do? You invested more hours. Well, that's fine, except time has a problem, doesn't it? It's finite. There are 24 hours in a day. There are 168 hours in a week. No congressional legislation is ever going to change that. Actually, no congressional legislation is ever going to change much of anything, it appears. So you're not going to change that, and yet you've still got to get things done. The good news is that energy, unlike time, is something that's inside you, and it has properties that make it a very powerful resource. It can be expanded, it can be renewed, and you can learn to use it more efficiently. We know that about objects in the universe. It is also true in terms of how we manage ourselves if we become more conscious and intentional about it. There are, it turns out, 4 kinds of energy in the human system. You can run a stove or a refrigerator on a single source of energy, but a human being needs 4 sources of energy. The first source of energy we need is physical. That's the quantity of your energy. It's the ground of all energy. It's what energy rests on. The second source of energy is emotional. That's the quality of your energy, because how you feel profoundly influences how you perform. The third source of energy is mental. Mental is the focus of your energy. Mental is the focus of your energy. So if you have an ability to do one thing at a time, that becomes a very powerful source of energy. And then the fourth source of energy is the energy of the human spirit. That's the energy derived from the experience that what you do really matters, from a deep sense of purpose. Because if something really matters to you, is there any question that we bring more energy to it? So in other words, it takes a village, an internal village, to run our lives.
I thought that was so interesting. Of course, like I had said earlier, I know about time management, but I hadn't really been familiar with the concept of managing our energy. Okay. All right. So how do we do this? So when it comes to what, Tony was talking about, different types of energy, physical energy, it does make sense that the bigger demands in our lives, the greater we're going to need to renew our energy. So often we're doing the opposite. We're working harder, we're working longer. Instead, what we really need to do is start taking breaks at least every 90 minutes. Your energy can be renewed by completely disengaging from your work, even just for a short period of time. In order to really do this, you got to put a placeholder in your calendar. If you don't schedule it, it's simply not going to happen. Now, with emotional energy, like Tony said, start paying attention to how you're feeling, because how we feel influences how we're going to perform. That's what he said. So when you notice yourself moving into negative emotions, try and whatever you feel compelled to do, don't get angry. Don't send a nasty gram. Don't call someone up and raise your voice. Instead, take a deep breath and wait to act until you're capable of thinking more clearly. This is giving you emotional energy, gives you an opportunity to give yourself some space and to breathe. When he talked about mental energy, we need to really stop multitasking. The brain can really only focus on one task at a time. When we're multitasking, we are not nearly as efficient or effective. So if you can work as much as possible in short, uninterrupted sprints, focus really intensely, no more than 90 minutes, then take a break. At a minimum, do the most important thing first every day for at least 60 minutes. And then when we talk about our spirit, the human spirit, this is really easy under pressure to just quickly do whatever we need to do to solve the problem in the moment, without really regard for the long-term consequences. So instead, ask yourself a simple question when you have a difficult decision to make. What is the right thing to do here? And the more intentionally you make decisions, the better they will be. We're going to take a look at some of the different strategies to help us focus on harnessing our energy. These are just a few that you may want to consider. The first one, so this one is from Julia Schmidt, and she's talking about the energy that we're looking for can be gained through purpose, having a positive mindset, our relationships, making some healthy choices, focusing and prioritizing. So this strategy here on the screen actually incorporates the 4 areas that Tony mentioned: physical, emotional, mental, and then the human spirit. So if we start at number 1, we're looking at shift from constantly doing to simply being. So what this does is create a balance by slowing down, practicing mindfulness, which is focusing on the moment, being in the moment, and really appreciating life's small joys. Sometimes a great way to do this is that nature is a really powerful way to boost our mood and our well-being during your day. If you can just get outside for even just a few minutes, this will help to lift up your mood. And cultivating a positive mindset. What's going on well today? That's what we want to focus in on. And you want to give yourself encouraging self-talk. Me, along with probably a lot of other folks, I tend to give myself negative self-talk. So this is about encouraging positive self-talk. Also, seeking out support. You want to be around people who are supportive and uplifting and positive. That can definitely boost your energy and your overall outlook. And we're social creatures, so just engaging in social interactions and meaningful conversations with others, even just sparking a conversation with other folks, can energize us. People love to talk about themselves and to share their stories. So striking up a conversation, maybe you're in line at the grocery store, at the airport, or just with a coworker. All those types of conversations make us happy. And then connecting with others boosts both our speed and our creativity. And so we want to build relationships through conversations, maybe have lunch with someone or a team building activity. This, of course, strengthens collaboration and uplifts our mood altogether. At HealthNet, I host once a month a 30-minute coffee time that we call Brew and Banter. And so really, it's sort of like a water cooler opportunity. It's for our team members who are in the office, who are remote, really just to connect and just more in a personal way. We don't have an agenda. We just spend 30 minutes just talking to each other. Of course, you want to prioritize your health. This will, of course, increase your energy, but you got to put yourself first. And that is super hard for a lot of us. So, of course, we want to eat healthy, exercise, focusing on your sleep. This is going to give you the energy that you need during the day. And taking time to get up and move, or even just do some stretching, a quick walk, maybe use the stairs, maybe just take a meeting where you're actually standing up. And then, of course, sleep is super important as well. We need a consistent sleep routine that will have a positive effect on our overall well-being. Of course, if we feel like we're rushing or we can feeling overwhelmed, that is a huge drain on our energy. Is there anything that you might be able to delegate? Can you take a large project and sort of break it into smaller, manageable tasks? And then just overall stress. What is causing you stress? Can you come up with a plan to help manage that situation, to help minimize daily stress? So this was one plan, one strategy. Here's another one. This one talks about shifting from being busy to more balanced. So a lot of times we feel like our worth is measured in how much we get done. So we need to start focusing on being more intentional with our time and our energy. When we do more of a balanced mindset, that means taking time to pause, prioritize, choose tasks that align with our goals. This helps to shift, to reduce that overwhelm, helps you to feel more focused and allow you to be more present throughout the day. Setting boundaries. Okay, this is a huge one. Your ability to say that word no and protect your time. This is really essential for sustaining our energy. Is it possible that you could, decline a meeting? Could you try reduce multitasking? Could you set some limits on the number of meetings that you go to, or notifications, or even just trying to close the computer or the laptop cover so that you're not working after hours? When you set clear boundaries, that does actually signal to other people and, of course, yourself that your time and your well-being really do matter. What about routines? Sometimes the morning and a night routine. This helps you start and end your day with intention. So in the morning, maybe some light movement. Make sure to stay hydrated. Maybe a little gratitude practice or even just a short planning session. And then end your evening with a device-free wind down. Give your body time to relax. Maybe that includes stretching or journaling. These consistent routines help to anchor your energy and improve your mental clarity. Also, this guide is talking about movement and nutrition. So, energy, of course, is directly tied to our physical habits. So, if you're able to do short bursts of movement throughout the day, you want to make sure you're eating whole foods, staying hydrated, just some small, sustainable tweaks, like maybe a short walk after lunch or a balanced snack, can also noticeably improve your vitality and your focus. And then we need both. We need rest and time to recover. You should not think of rest as a reward, it is a requirement. Short breaks help the brain reset, help to reduce the stress, calm down your nervous system, help to prevent fatigue. So, keeping an eye on your sleep, maintaining good sleep hygiene, reducing the screen use before going to bed, of course, creating a calming nighttime environment, all will help with both rest and recovery. And I have one last one. As you know, there are numerous tools out there. This one happens to be called the Energy Reset Plan. And this is a simple worksheet that's designed to help you to pause, reflect, and set one or two energy goals that help you feel more focused and balanced. And when Kristen sends out the recording link, we will include this handout as well. This is simply a great way to stay intentional about your energy throughout the day. You really need to check in with yourself, like in the morning. That helps you set your intention for the day. Hey, what is my day going to be like today? What do I want my day to look like today? And then as you get busy during the day, take a moment to stop and reflect. Where's your energy? Do you have energy right now? And then at the end of the day, well, how did this go? You want to end your day, of course, on a positive note, but were there some things that you could maybe do differently the next day? Now, as I wrap up the webinar today, I wanted to leave you with some resources as well. Now, HealthNet does not endorse any of these suggestions. These are free to download the basic version. If you want, of course, the advanced features, those will require a subscription. So Headspace is going to give you some guided meditation sessions focused on stress relief, energy, and focus. Calm offers sleep resources, breathing exercises, and relaxation techniques. And then Forest, this is a fun app that helps to reduce distractions and encourages mindful breaks. And MyFitnessPal, this can help you track meals so that you can understand how the food that you're eating affects your energy levels. And then I did put a note at the bottom of the slide here. Your Employee Assistance Program, or EAP, is also a great additional resource. Thank you so much for your attention today. These next slides are on programs that help our HealthNet members to build or maintain their healthy habits. Our members, of course, can log on to our website to find any of these wellness programs and other resources. If you are not a HealthNet member, then just check with your own health plan. It's likely that they have a wellness program as well. Health risk assessments, it's the beginning of the year. Maybe you'd like to take the health risk assessment. Ours is called the Real Age Test, and it's going to give you your health status, of course, in some different areas like nutrition, exercise, how are you doing emotionally, even with financial well-being. And so you may want to take that the beginning of the year, check and see how you were doing. And maybe there are some areas that you are doing well, and maybe some areas that might need a little bit of improvement. And if your health assessment does indicate some opportunities for improvement, you may want to work with a health coach. It's always hard to make lifestyle changes on our own, so you don't have to do it alone. Craving to Quit. This is our tobacco cessation program, and it's designed for those who are ready to permanently break their addiction to tobacco. Also in California, kickitcalifornia.org is also open. Again, free program, helps with smoking, vaping, smokeless tobacco, with all sorts of science-based strategies. And if you're looking to make some improvements or to maintain your good eating habits, Eat Right Now might be an opportunity for you. This really focuses on mindful eating, so it's on healthy eating habits rather than dieting. And we know that life is stressful. So Unwinding by ShareCare has all kinds of different tools, modules, videos that can help guide you to build resilience and decrease chronic stress. And please note, this program is open to everybody. You just have a different way to log in, but it's open to all. And for our HealthNet members, we offer discounts. So whether you're looking for weight management or chiropractic, acupuncture services, even hearing aids, including the screening, and also our pretty popular fitness club discount, you can actually go to gyms in person, or they have online on-demand classes as well. That's through our Active and Fit program. And we also have all kinds of health challenges on our platform: stress, steps, sleep, nutrition. Again, open to everyone. Just log in a different way. And specifically for HealthNet members in February, Heart Health Month, we've got Jump Start Your Heart. And then join us again in February. We're going to be talking about the heart of well-being. So we're going to take a look at habits that support our heart health and help to prevent chronic disease. But we're also going to be talking about emotional well-being and the way that stress can impact our cardiovascular health in a negative way, and also how to create realistic goals that help nurture mental clarity, your physical energy, and your spiritual balance. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. Everyone who registered for this webinar will receive a link to the recording along with those additional resources. So I appreciate your time today. Feel free to exit the webinar at this time.